Grand Rising family. So after the 3/4 of contractors were shown the door after 2 months or whatever it was, and we realized how serious it was, right? That if we had been not providing value up to that point, whoever was left was really going to start providing value then, because they saw how serious the situation was. There's no such thing as a free lunch, as they say. Sometimes we need to get put into the fire a little bit before we understand that, before that even starts to click. How blessed we are, how lucky we are to be in the situation that we're currently in, right? Because of course the grass always looks greener no matter where you are. But the ability to appreciate where you are in that moment and be present in that moment and bring your best, that's a big strength, right? And so recognize that, by going to this other team and, really just looking to spark up a conversation, right? Well, what is that? Well, you can't have a conversation without listening. Listening skills are incredibly important. It may be a little much to say that there is no higher form of love than listening, but it's pretty darn close. Listen with the intent to understand, not with the intent to reply. Focus on the words that are actually being said, instead of trying to make those words come to a predetermined destination in your mind, right? So a lot of it has to do with your perspective while you're listening, right? Are you listening with some kind of agenda, or are you listening just to listen? Now at that time, I didn't have any agenda. I wasn't looking consciously to differentiate myself from the crowd. That was just a natural result of what happened. So next thing I knew, they moved me from that office to another office, which was basically headquarters. And the team leads at that office basically put me under their manager, basically put me on their team. So of course, I was extremely grateful, right? Incredibly thankful for the opportunity. And the last thing I was going to do was make them regret it, do anything that would make them regret it, or squander that gift that I had been given. And I knew that, as a result of basically being rewarded for whatever it was that they saw in me, I was being trained, right? I was being trained by the world system that if you continue in this path, you will continue to be rewarded, right? So it was a kind of a positive feedback loop. So as I got to the other team, right, this work was actually much more difficult. It wasn't really just a bunch of copying and pasting. It wasn't so cookie cutter, right? It wasn't just slam dunks one after the other. The work was a bit more nuanced. There was a lot more details. You had to use your brain a bit more, right? And there were higher stakes. On this team, there were, if you made a wrong decision in a certain area, it was broadcast to everybody that was going to cost the company money, right? And so you were You were asked to jump on a particular call where they would question you, right? Kind of like the Spanish Inquisition. And it was in front of everybody, right? Who wants that? So, and I watched a lot of these guys. Now remember, at this time, I was just a kid fresh out of school, right? What did I know, except what I had learned in school? These guys were veterans, right? And I knew that I had to tread very lightly, and I knew that I had more to learn from them than they had to learn from me, right? But I watched them very closely, and I tried to understand, it was part of my job, to understand the procedures that were required to do the job that everybody did. And as the more I got good at those desk level procedures, the more I started to notice inefficiencies, right? A lot of duplication of effort, a lot of people not really using their computer, right? There's a study I encourage you to go look at. It's called idle CPU time. It's the amount of time that computers just sit there without even being used, just waiting for somebody to ask them to do something. The problem is most people don't really know what to ask their computer, right? It's kind of the same with ChatGPT. You're starting to learn now that when you ask it a certain thing and you get a certain response, the trick is in how you're asking it, right? It's quick to assume that, oh, that must be a bug, or this must be this way, or this must be that way. And don't get me wrong, those things definitely exist. But we're starting to learn that the responsibility, it actually places the responsibility back on to the user to be able to articulate what they're actually asking for, right? Because you got to look at it from the other angle from the perspective of the program, right? It's only taking what you're giving it. There's an old saying in the industry, garbage in, garbage out. You put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. Anyway, stay blessed, family. Have a lovely day. Thank you for joining me in the sauna this morning. If you can, please vote. There's one free vote for the Entrepreneurs of Impact every 12 hours. If you do decide to support and put any money, make sure you reach out to me and let me know so that I can put you on my list of people I need to get back. With all that to say, have a beautiful day, and we'll catch you in the next one.